All right, so welcome into our class on proportions today, my party people. Today's class is going to be a gauntlet. It's simply going to be practice problem after practice problem after practice problem, starting right after this one slide of notes. This is all we're going to get for our notes because remember, the way that I teach is I want you to understand what the main idea is, and then I'm going to show you practice problem after problem how that main idea is always true for that topic. Has anybody ever heard me teach or seen me teach in that way, yes or no, where I basically go over the main idea, go over whatever formula or whatever process is always going to be shown, and then boom, I make sure to emphasize it every single problem. Who has seen me teach in that way? Fiona and right on there too, and Xavier, because you guys have seen me teach plenty of times. Hey, right on Priscilla, congrats on that. Bruce, thank you. Reptar, nice name, thank you. All right, so that's how we need to approach things because too many of us are trying to memorize questions and hope that they're on the test. But the thing is, every question can be categorized into a concept, and every concept has a main idea. So today, we're working on ratios and proportions, and the main idea you can see right up there in red, it says compare the same things in the same way. So I want everybody here, regardless of whether or not you've been to my classes before, go ahead and write that down because right after this, again, like I said, we're going to be relying on this heavily. So let's go ahead and change this to red. Compare the same things in the same way. Right there. Compare the same things in the same way. And so remember, if you're here for the first time in this class and you're watching how things are going down, this is going to be a slightly different class. So we're going to jump straight into the practice problems as opposed to getting a bunch of guided practice. We're going to go from the easiest problems that you might expect for this concept to the medium questions, to the hard, to the potentially excessively challenging. Now, I'm going to walk you through each and every single one. And my hope is that by the end of class, we would have gone through at least 15 practice questions. So with that, again, let me know in the chat box once you have that written down. One more time, compare the same things in the same way is the biggest key right here. So again, type ready in the chat box when you're ready to move on from that. All right, cool. So you get that a lot of us here are ready, about half of us. I'll give it a couple more moments. No worries. And again, repeat that to yourself. And even if it doesn't make 100% sense in terms of what that means for you to do, I need you to, in your head, say it out loud. Say it. Obviously, your mics are turned off. I can't hear what you're saying, but you want to go ahead and form as many connections with this main idea as possible, because I promise you, by the third or fourth question, if you have no idea what you're doing, that might be where things might start turning around for you. All right. So with that said, another thing that I want you to understand, especially when we go over the more basic questions, it's going to be how you can manipulate fractions. Everybody, what's that word called when you have a fraction with big numbers and by magic, some math magic, you turn it into a fraction with smaller numbers that somehow means the same thing? What's that word? What's that process called? Right, it's called simplifying a fraction. This is something that should be in everybody's vocabulary, but this is something that you're going to want to be able to do at a moment's notice when it comes to this topic. So allow me to go ahead and just make this a more reasonable size. And I'm going to write this down here. You will be simplifying fractions as well. So keep that in mind, guys. Two main things. Again, we're not going to get into a whole series of notes in this class. Right after this, we're getting straight into the practice. So write that one last thing down. And then we're going to set a timer for 2.5 minutes that I'll do right here in the background for you. And then again, every question we do, about 2.5 minutes, we'll stop the timer, we'll go over it, we'll move right along. I'm hoping to get about 15 questions today. All right, perfect. Looks like a lot of us are pretty much ready to go. So here we go, my party people. Here's how it's going to work. So again, we are going to give ourselves 2.5 minutes per question. So 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Go and write that down there. But essentially, do your best. Treat this like the actual ASVAB. Try to simulate that pressure. If you feel like your recruiter standing over your shoulder or something that is really something that holds you back, or just the pressure of taking the test, really believe that you're in that environment. I want you to really face the fears of going into a problem completely fresh, unknown to you. Try it out, see how you do. Because the only difference between practicing here and practicing there is that here you can make mistakes. So do your absolute best. We'll make those mistakes. We'll learn from them, of course, and then we'll do what we can the next time around. Remember that it's not going to be a flip of the switch. It's going to take a gradual set of problems and mistakes and learning before you truly develop that confidence. So don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's part of the process. Get your ego out of the door here, and let's go ahead and have a good time. Everybody, yes or no? Are you ready? All right, perfect. Let's have a good time, guys. So let me get this timer up right over here for us. Booyah. And here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. First problem. And again, don't reveal your answers. Just type ready when you're ready. And looking at our final 3, 2, and 1. So go ahead, put those answers out there, my party people. Let's see what you got. And my very first question to you is, as always, if what you're putting down is a guess, go ahead and put a question mark next to your answer. This is for me to understand how many of us are feeling confident versus how many of us don't exactly have the confidence at this point in time. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to know personally as a teacher so I can adjust the way that I talk. So go ahead, put that down there. Let's see what we got. A lot of people here saying D. Some people here saying C as well. Some question marks for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and check this other stream here. Again, a lot of D's. We got some B's and C's, some question marks there as well. And as always, there's no penalty for taking a guess. So I want you to feel confident that a guess is possible. All right. So first things first, or next question that I have is, where would you rank this question, guys? Do you guys think that this is an introductory level proportion question? Do you think that this is a advanced proportion question. What's your current opinion of the problem here? Introductory, easy. Okay, cool. So you're correct about that. I'm not gonna support or gonna say that it's easy by any means because that's relative to the person. But I will say that this is an introductory level proportion question. For the reason being that all you have to do is actually identify the ratio in the problem. So if you look right over there, right above me, you're gonna see it says, what is the ratio of pairs of sunglasses to hats? Perfect. And so let's read that again. It says, again, what is the ratio of pairs of sunglasses to hats? So we need to make sure that the one thing, when we're writing ratios, it's this ratio of, and let's write it down, hats to sunglasses. Let's go ahead and learn ourselves our very first lesson of ratios. Everyone, if I'm trying to find the ratio between, sunglasses to hats or hats to sunglasses, it doesn't really matter. It's just, hats and sunglasses. So as a first time problem solver, can anybody identify what my mistake is about to be? Hats. Okay, it says there are 40 pairs of sunglasses, 40 hats. So I'm going to say 40 for hats. And then it says 48 pairs of sunglasses. So I write 40 to 48. Everyone, what's wrong about what I just did here? And if you're going to say that I didn't simplify yet, don't worry. I am going to simplify this right here. I am. But before I even get to the part about simplifying, what mistake did I make? It's very subtle. It's very, very subtle. But what mistake did I make? It's backwards. It asks for sunglasses first, then hats. So, okay, my party people, let's go ahead and let me just, call myself out what the error was. Here's what I did on purpose. Notice how the question asks, what's the ratio of sunglasses to hats? Everyone, when it comes to ratios and proportions, does the order matter? Does the order of the representation matter? Absolutely. Absolutely does. So if you didn't know that, here's your first introductory refresher, free of charge. It's going to be that the order matters. So if the question reads right over here, let me actually give myself a tail. If it says sunglasses to hats, then guess what? Sunglasses needs to be first and then hats. I kind of messed that up, but you know what I'm saying. So I can erase all of this or just move it around. And so it's sunglasses first, right there, and then hats. So instead of it saying, hey, over here, 40, then 48, like we did, because we did hats and sunglasses, we flip it to do sunglasses, then hats. So boom, right there, and we're set. Yes or no, everybody, does that make sense to you? The order really does matter. If we say what's the ratio of sunglasses to hats, then we need to write the number for sunglasses first and then hats second. Cool. I know for a lot of us that's going to be very straightforward, very simple, because you've done this, quite a bit, and I get that. But I'm talking to those who might be here for the first time and are really looking forward to getting some hope in this situation, just like you did. So there we are. We have 48 to 40. And remember, when you're writing your ratios, you can write it as this number to this number, like the word TO. You can also write it with like this, with colons. And you can also write it as a fraction. So you can also write 48 over 40. A lot of folks prefer the fraction because it's a little easier for them to see when it comes to simplifying. So we can absolutely do that. Everyone, let's get right to work. What bigger number, not just any number, what's the biggest number that we can simplify with? What number can we divide into 48 and 40? Nice. I see a lot of us are here saying 8. Everybody's saying 8, which is a good thing, and that's correct. 48 and 40 are both divisible by 8. So what we can do right over here is simplify the fraction, because that's the same thing as simplifying a ratio. One more time. Simplifying a fraction is the same as simplifying a ratio. So we divide both the top and the bottom by 8, and that's going to give us 6 over 5. And again, my party people, 6 over 5 is the same thing as saying 6 to 5. Okay? They're the same exact thing. The top number, then the bottom number. And so that would make our correct answer here not B, not 5 to 6, but 6 to 5. So my party people, yes or no, does that make sense? And Chris Lane, to answer your question, you can use 2, but you're going to notice that if you use 2, you would have gotten 24 over 20, which would have forced you to continue using 2, or you could have tried using 4 at that point as well. They both would have worked, but you want to get it in simplest terms. Exactly. You always want to, exactly, Trevor. You want to use the bigger number always, because that's going to give you the simplest fraction at the end. If you don't use the biggest number, you're going to have to continue on, and it's going to add up to the biggest number anyway. Boom. Sounds good. There we go. I like that it makes sense. I love that it makes sense. Yeah, Xavier. So yeah, you could have used 2, but you would have noticed that you would have had to continue on finding more simplifications. So here's my part of you. Here's what's next. We're going to continue on. Like I said, it's a gauntlet today. So question 1, then question 2, then 3, and it's probably going to feel slightly harder unless we're doing the same exact concept within proportions. So with that said, yes or no, are you ready for the next one? We've already learned some very valuable lessons here. Again, we have to make sure that we compare the same things in the same way. But as we saw in this question here, the order of the question matters. The order that you're writing the ratio in matters. And thank you guys in the chat box as well for helping our friends out, asking about the specifics in the math. So let's go ahead and get the timer started again. Let's get my ugly face out of the way. Boom. Here's the timer. And next question in 3, 2, and 1. Again, type ready when you're ready. All right, and we're looking at our final 5 seconds here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And just like last time, go ahead, put a question mark next to your answer if it's a guess. And before we continue, just wanted to point out over here, if you want to take a screenshot of this, if you want to learn more about my full program where you get all of my classes, recordings, practice questions, practice tests, and progress reports all the way until you pass, then just text program to 833-321-0182. We'll answer pretty quickly. Give give you all the information you need about how to raise your score. So coming up next, my party people, let's go ahead here, get that timer out of the way, get my face back into the picture here, and delete this right over here. So goodbye, and let's go ahead and get started. So next up, right over here, we're talking about it. Is anybody here feeling like this was just as easy as the previous question? Who thinks that this was just as easy? Just as easy. Okay, so I'm seeing less guesses than before, but I do see that you guys are admitting that some part of this question is just slightly different than the previous one. And so being able to do, I know this is still part of the introductory side of things, but being able to do this question specifically is going to give you a really nice advantage when we get to the fifth question in today's class. So let's go ahead and understand here, everybody. It says, what is the ratio of blue marbles to total marbles? So everybody, before I begin, yes or no, are we writing a ratio? Yes or no? Right, I think everybody agrees. We're definitely going to be writing a ratio for sure. But a ratio of what? Because it's not just the keyword ratio that we want to look at, everybody. It's a little more than that. Remember, like we said, the terms that they give you after, the order really matters. And so what are we taking the ratio of? Anytime you see the word, what's the ratio, or the phrase, what's a ratio? That's a fraction. And so you want to think about the fraction of blue to total. So you want to write all of that down. So ratio, and you can just say, you can write it like this if you'd like to. You can write it any of the three different ways. But typically, I just like to write it as a fraction. Just helps me go ahead and work with the numbers a little easier. But there we are. But here is the little kicker about this question. Because notice how we're given, right over here, notice how we're given 35 blue marbles. Here we're given 15 yellow. Everybody, what did they not give me? I'm told that we have 35 blue, 15 yellow, but what am I not given here that I need, that I for sure need to solve this problem? Yeah, you guys are saying it. It's total. We need the total. If we don't have that total, then what the heck am I supposed to put? All right, up there. Right? So let's go ahead and put in what we do know. I do know that we're given blue, and that blue is found right here, my party people. 35 blue marbles. So it's safe to say that when I write this fraction out, I'm going to go ahead and just do this. And I'm going to have that 35 right up top. Now, some of us here may have blindly said, hey, I'm going to put the 15 right there on the bottom. Did anybody here write the 15 on bottom just out of habit, just seeing that there's a number, there's a blank space, I'm just going to throw it in there? Did anybody do that just out of habit? Okay, that seems like a lot of people. That seems like a lot of people, and that's totally okay. So let's learn from that mistake. Let's verify, okay? Let's verify that it's supposed to go where it's going, so that way we can have confidence that we're going to be correct when we do the math. Basically, what I'm saying is the setup matters. Make sure that you're correct in your setup so you can be correct in your calculations. This is going to be wrong. 15 is incorrect. The reason is because, one more time, we need the total. 15 is not total, 15 is yellow. So everyone, if we have 35 blue and we have 15 yellow, how is it that we're supposed to get the total? What do we need to do to find the total? I see some people saying add the two, add blue and yellow, add. Yeah, that's correct. So 35 plus 15, 5 plus 5 is 10. Then we got to carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 1, that'll be 5. So that gives us 50 total. And what we're going to place here in the denominator will be 50. Again, because what we're representing is going to be blue right here. And then on the bottom, it's going to represent the total. So before we go about simplifying this, because it's a pretty simple simplification, does that make sense, my party people? Again, with ratios, if we're writing a ratio, the order matters, and we have to make sure that we're representing what we're being asked to represent. And no worries, Diego, we'll get to the simplifying part, but I'm glad that it makes sense to the majority here. I'm glad it does. And don't worry, we'll have more opportunities to practice these problems as well. So don't worry at all. I got your back. So here we go. We have 35 over 50. My party people, help me out. 35 and 50 are both divisible by what? Given that one of them ends in a 5 and the other ends in a 0, they're both, exactly, they're both divisible by 5. Exactly. So with that, I do believe that there was a mistake with the answer choices, not that you guys are saying it, but we'll go ahead and do the work here so I can show you what the proper final answer is. And this is a new set of questions that I do need to correct in my program because it looks like there's one little bit that will come out as a mistake. But the answer that you are supposed to get, my party people, is this. You are supposed to get 7 over 10. That was the correct final answer. If you want to write that down, and not included here, because I believe what should have been written down, it should have been here. That's what it should have been. It should have been D, but don't worry about writing down the correct alphabetic answer. As long as you have 7 over 10, we're totally fine. No worries, Akeem. That was me with a little bit of blind trust. Like right now, I have over 500 templates, and this is why I take so much time to update the program, because we want to avoid mistakes like this. This is totally on me. This will be fixed up by tomorrow afternoon in the program. It's all good. No worries. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into the next one. I'm going to just scrub it to make sure that the answer choice that is there is correct. Given that there's one mistake, I want to make sure that no more mistakes happen in tonight's class. So let's go ahead and move into this next one here. I know for a fact we should be good on this. So go ahead. Go ahead and try this one out here. I'm going to remove my face now. The timer is live. Try this one out now. This one is confirmed. You are good. The answer is there. Have fun. And that's right, Sanabria. Yep. When it says total, you absolutely add. That's right. And time is up, my party people. Go ahead, put those answers in there. Put a question mark next to your answer if it is a guess. All right, there we are. We are back. Let's go ahead and get the math party started again. So, everybody, your opinion. Do you think that this question was a step up from the previous question? Do you think that there's more to be done here? Or do you think that this is just as easy as the previous one in your opinion? Still just as easy as the previous one, some people say. Fairly simple. Okay, I can definitely see the people that have been to my classes before who've been working in the program. Absolutely. Okay, tiny step up, Jay. Sweet. Okay, let's go ahead and try things out. So, everyone, very simply put, what is it that we are looking for? What is it that we're looking for in the problem? Give me one or two words. What do we want? What do we want to find? Okay, Fiona says males. Okay. Number of males. How many dudes, right? Cool. Sounds good. Let me just go ahead and highlight where we see that so we can be confident that we know what it is that we're looking for here. Right here. How many males are there? Again, we always want to start with the question sentence, the question statement, because we don't want to get distracted by any information that we really may or may not know if it's useful yet. So let's go straight to the problem, the question sentence, to know what it is that we want. So we want the number of males. However, though, so again, we want to know the number of males. However, though, in that same sentence that we figured out that we needed the number of males, was there any information that was included in that sentence? A hint would be, do we see anything included with that information with the word if? Is there anything included in this sentence about finding males? Right, we're given the number of females in this situation. So take a look right over here. Again, it says, if there are 24 females, how many males are there? Everyone, is it fairly obvious or fairly clear to you as an observer that, hey, the word if here tells me that if there are 24 females, how many males? They're basically saying that the number of males depends on us having 24 females. Does that make sense to you? They're essentially telling you that there's a relationship between the number of females and number of males present. That's essentially what they're saying. Not quite, Jay. Not quite, because we're going to see in the next moment that this is actually comparative. These are comparative statements that are being made. And when we have more than one comparative statement about the same things, we got ourselves a proportion. So let me write this down for you. Again, we're looking for blank males, and we're given that there are 24 females right here. Now, in the next line, watch what I'm going to write. The next step is going to be to gather the information that's given that you haven't written down already. So if we take a look right up here, it says, at a local YMCA, there are 11 males for every 2 females. Check that out, everybody. Check that out. It says we have this many males to this many females, this many males, this many females. Everyone, is it fair to say that we are comparing the same things? We are comparing males and females. Is that an acceptable observation by you? Cool. I'm glad that that's agreeable to you. I'm really, really glad, because let's write that down. 11 males, 2 females right there. And I'm going to make something very, very clear, my party people. The main idea behind proportions is compare the same things in the same way. I have males compared to females, males compared to females, meaning that I can now go ahead and write a proportion because it's already set up. So watch this. I can say M males, just to give it a variable, give it a letter. But I'm going to say that we have M over 24 equals 11 over 2. This proportion here, it's there. Boom, we're good. And my party people, Xavier, chill. But taking a look here, we've generally been taught to cross multiply and divide. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how long that's going to take. Then I'm just going to remind you about some simplification techniques, and we're going to move right along to the next question, because we're done here. We've set up the proportion. Now we just have to solve it. in the most effective way possible. So here we go. M over 24 equals 11 over 2. Generally, a lot of us have been taught we have to cross multiply and divide. So let's go ahead and show that here. My party people help me out. What's M multiplied by 2? That's going to be 2M. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And then we have 24 times 11. Who wants to do that off the top of their head? Anybody? Still waiting. 264. What's the mental math? Yeah, 24 times 10 is 240. 24 times 1 is 24. So 240 plus 24, 264. You can definitely do that in your head if you'd like to. If you've been to some mental math practice and training, sure, you might see that. Or you're probably going to really have to go ahead and do 24 times 11. And you'll have to take all of the time to actually show the work being done. And then you'll get to 64. Again, either way works. But now that we're here, everybody, let's go ahead and face the elephant in the room. What's the last step we had to take to get M by itself? That's right, Jay. Now we have to divide. So we're good. We'll go ahead and take the 2 and divide it on both sides because remember, we want to do the opposite operation to get that variable by itself. So M is what we're trying to get by itself. And so we'll divide 2 on both sides. 264 divided by 2 is going to be 132. And there we have it. And that's what our answer would be. But my question to you, everybody here, is was that the way that you did it? Did you cross multiply and divide, or did you use comparison to get the answer quicker? Yeah, I see a lot of us saying that no, we didn't cross multiply and divide. A lot of us are saying that we did comparison. So remember, everybody, here's the great benefit of knowing how proportions work. Compare the same things in the same way. That's how it works. And so allow me to show you a nice little shortcut that you can benefit from. So over here, I want you to notice that right over here, if we're looking at 2 and we're looking at 24, everybody, when we're talking about comparing, we're really saying, with multiplication or division, not addition, subtraction, just multiplication, just division, only those two. Everyone, what do I do to go from 2 to 24? How can I go from 2 to 24? How can I go from 2 to 24? We can multiply by 12. Okay. So let me show you what I mean by really understanding proportions. This is going to be a really neat little, it's not going to be a trick. It's really just a fundamental understanding. But notice that if we're going from 2 to 24, that's going to be multiplying by 12. Here's what I mean when I say compare the same things in the same way. Well, if in the denominators from the right side to the left side, we're multiplying by 12, that means up here on the top as well, from the right side to the left side, we will multiply by 12. My party people, what is 11 times 12? What is 11 times 12? Hit me. Look at that. If you know your multiplication tables, 11 times 12, that's going to give you 132, and you're done right away. And you're done right away. And so again, you can avoid doing that huge cross multiplication and doing 24 times 11. You can avoid all that mess, and you can put yourself in a position to do the problem that was already easy to do in a much faster time. Does that make sense to you, my party people? I don't want to waste your time. I want to show you that if there's a way to benefit from spending less time and being more effective, let's find out how to get that done. Make the easy look easy. Perfect. All right, sounds good. So it looks like so far you guys are really taking in the main ideas here. Make sure that we compare the same things in the same way. Order matters. Compare the same thing in the same way. Order matters. Let's go ahead and dive into the next question here. There it is. Let's go ahead and give you the same amount of time right now. And let's get it done, my party people. Dive on in. Let's have some fun. And Chris Lane, no, I am not a genius, but I am here to make your dreams come true. Hey, Alicia, go ahead and ask the question there in the chat box. I'll pay attention to that. And Nicole, I saw that message as well. I'll make sure to personally respond first thing in the morning. I gotcha. Hey, Nick, in terms of similarity, I would say that these concepts 100% line up with the test. You will be seeing ratios and proportions on the math. Now, in terms of will you see the exact same words, word for word? Obviously, no one can guarantee that. But by learning the concept that we're putting forth here today, yes, you're definitely going to be raising your score. So, time is up, everybody. Go ahead, put those answers in. And again, as always, put a question mark next to your answer if it is a guess. No problem at all with that. Let's go ahead and take that timer away, bring my ugly face back into the fold, and let's have some fun. So, everybody, I would say, or I'm going to ask you, would you say that this is the same, easier, harder in terms of the previous question? Okay, sounds good. So let's go ahead and treat it as such. If it's easy, then let's use the same procedure. Let's not waste any time. Let's get some more problems in. So right over here, what does it say? Well, we want to start off with what we're looking for. And so it asks us, how many females are there? Right there. How many females are there? And what you want to notice is that attached to that request, attached to that information that we're looking for, it says if 60 males are present. So, everybody, is it okay with you? Do you agree with the notion that we're looking for the number of females and we are attached, or the information attached to that is that there are 60 males for the number of females that we're looking for? Okay, I'm glad that you all agree. And Alicia, it looks like you got a little lucky. You took number of males. Yeah, it looks like that process accidentally got you the right answer because that's not rooted in a procedure that'll work every single time. So it was a coincidence. So you may want to just reflect on how we get to that answer the right way so you can repeat that success. So let's go ahead. We want, again, the number of females, and we have 60 males. And just like in the previous question, if we take a look at the information that we're given, it says right over here at a local YMCA, there are 15 males for every 18 females. So with that, I'll write that down in that order. A possible mistake that a lot of folks might make is they'll write the 15 males first. But everybody, as soon as you write that down, what rule are you breaking? The moment that I write down 15 males and then I have the 18 females, I'm thinking like, yeah, I got to write it in order, males first and females second. But it's backwards already because you notice that when we wrote the question down exactly, when we write the question down, well, it said females first and then males. So let's stick to one order, the same order, okay? If we wrote down blank females, 60 males, then we're going to write males second and females first. Again, very common mistake that you can avoid with some practice and some identification of the issue. Cool. Perfect. You're doing a little too much work. It's all good. Now that we're here, boom. I'll just say that we're going to put F for females, and now we're set to compare the same things in the same way. If you noticed, and if you're good with your mental math, you may have noticed that 15 going to 60, that's times 4 going up. So you may have been able to determine that 18 to the number of females is times 4, which is 72. But if you didn't see that, no worries. we can write down the fractions or proportion f over 60 equals 18 over 15. Now, here's another thing, everybody. I don't want you wasting time. Yes, you can absolutely cross multiply and divide and do 60 times 18. However, the problem is that you may not know off the top of your head that 60 times 18 is 1080 if you can do the math quickly in your head. So if you didn't know that, then you're wasting time by doing that. So everybody, what was that one thing I said that you should always be prepared to do with fractions? What's that S word that you should always be prepared to do? Yakim, I am not a human calculator. I have just done a lot of practice. So simplify, that is the correct term. Yes, that's what we're looking for. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and say, hey, let's simplify. But where can we simplify? Well, 18 and 15. 18 and 15, everybody, are both divisible by what? Yeah, they're both divisible by 3. So I can divide these both by 3, giving myself a much easier fraction to deal with. And so what we'll get is f over 60 equals, and then 18 divided by 3, that's going to be 6. 15 divided by 3, that's 5. And this is going to be a much, much easier time now. Because if I'm taking a look now, if I cross multiply, I'm not dealing with crazy numbers. I'm dealing with very manageable numbers. I have f times 5. That's going to be 5f. And then I have 60 times 6. That's not terrible. 6 times 6 is 60 or 36. And then we'll bring that 0 there at the end. So that's going to give us 360. Great. Now that we're here, we just have to divide both sides by 5, and we are done. So let's do that. Divide both sides by 5. And again, with some mental math, you might be able to figure that that's 72, or you can use a little bit of long division. Let's go ahead and get rid of that little typo. 360 right there. 5 goes into 36 7 times. And then we drop the 0. 5 goes into 10 2 times. So that's going to give us 72 right there. So my party people, notice how I kind of breeze through the math. I know there can be more time taken in calculating, but I want to expressly show you that there are 2 phases to a word problem. There's the setup, turning the English into math, setting your proportion up, and then there's the actual calculation, and where we employ strategies like mental math, simplifying fractions, comparing the same way, finding those little tricks. But again, I want to make sure that you know that those 2 things are separate from each other. You might feel like you're good at setting it up, but you might feel like you're a little deficient in working with fractions and solving proportions, or vice versa. You might feel the other way. But I want to make sure that you know that there are 2 parts to this, so you can really praise yourself for what you're doing right, but then also take a look at what you need to do better. Yes or no, my party people? Does that make sense before we continue? Does that make sense? Awesome. I'm glad. Again, I want you guys to get the most out of this and have a good time. All right. So let's go ahead, dive straight into the next one. Let's keep having some fun. I'm glad you guys are really with us today. Let's get this timer up. We are right there, and timer is there. So here we go, my party people. 3, 2, and 1. And this is perfect because this one lines up with the halfway point of the class. After this one, we are looking at the other half of difficult questions. So this is going to be good. Still looking at our final 15 here. All right, feel free to start putting those answers in. We're going to dive into this one. This one's going to be pretty quick, and then we're going to jump straight into the next type of question. And let's go ahead. Time's up. Put those answers in. Put a question mark next to your answer if it is a guess. No problem, guys. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. So here we go, my party people. Let's go ahead and go straight to the question sentence. We want to know what it is that we're looking for, and we don't want to get distracted by random information, or at least information that seems random until we actually know what part it plays. So here we go. First things first, again, question here. How much should Sharon be paid if she works, again, if, big right there, if she works 40 hours at the same pay rate? Right there. So again, write down what we have. We want to know how much she's getting paid. So I'm going to say blank dollars, and then I'll say that's attached to 40 hours. One more time, everybody, quickly in the chat box. Does it make sense, given the way that the sentence is stated, that the amount she gets paid is related to 40 hours? Is that true? And so for those of us that are saying, and I totally understand if you're saying that you're having a little bit of trouble understanding how this setup works. So I want to really make sure that I emphasize that, again, look for comparisons. If you see that we are comparing how much we get paid to how many hours of work, and then you may possibly notice that in the first sentence, it's shown again how much you're getting paid for how many hours of work. If that's there twice, that means that you have compared the same things twice. That's a dead giveaway that you're dealing with a proportion. And so what we have here, if we look at the purple, I'll just go ahead and use blue here, $60 for 6 hours. That's what we want to understand. There is a comparison happening here. And when we write the proportion, we'll compare the same things in the same way. We'll compare dollars to hours worked, dollars earned to hours worked. And so I'll just go ahead and say X here. So we can write X over 40, which is X dollars for 40 hours. And then you can say $60 for 6 hours. So before I continue, just want to make sure one final time, because I'm going to be winking. Next question, when you're asking me, Coach, I don't know how to set it up. So everybody take a look here. Have we compared the same things in the same way? Do we have dollars up top and then hours on bottom? That's how you know then that your proportion is properly set up. We are comparing the same things in the same way. So there it is. We're good to go. And here's how we're going to take care of things next. This one can be done actually relatively quickly. If you haven't already noticed, everybody, or again, as long as we're comparing the same things in the same way, we're good to go. So if you notice, if we're going from the bottom hours to the top dollars, if we're going from hours to dollars on that right side over here, notice that from 6 to go to 60, what number do we multiply? To go from 6 to 60, what's the easy way to do it? Yeah, times 10. And again, everybody, not every question is going to be this convenient, but when you do see a convenient situation, I want you to be able to act on it as opposed to sitting there being like, this looks like it can get done faster. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't want you to sit there looking like the extra in a Disney movie. I don't want you sitting there looking like that. I want you to be in control of your destiny here and know that if you see that the comparison on the right side, bottom to top, is times 10, then on the left side, the comparison from bottom to top is going to be times 10. And so there we have it. Boom, right there, times 10. Thanks for appreciating my humor. And so we'll have 40 times 10, everybody. What's 40 times 10? Help me out. Yeah, 40 times 10, that's going to be $400. And there we are. Again, a much faster way to do something that we've already been doing. And so on the test, on the actual test, instead of getting nervous and sticking to the one way you know how to do things, like cross multiplying and dividing, just take a moment to see if you can get it done just slightly faster. Your answer here will be 400, and that is answer choice B. And there we are. So, any questions before we proceed to the next question? Any questions here? Any comments, concerns? And Ashika, yeah, you can absolutely simplify as well. Let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But yeah, you could have simplified the 60 over 6 to get 10 over 1. Then you would have cross multiplied and gotten x equals 400. That would have worked as well. So no questions? Sounds good. Let's go ahead and dive into the next one straightforward here. Because again, I want this class to be a successful gauntlet where we go over every single type of difficulty. Next question is starting in 3, 2, and 1. Let's have a good time here. All right, we're still sitting here at our final 15 seconds, but don't freak out. Get ready to take a guess if you have one. But if you were truly confused while we were doing this question, then the one thing I want you to think about is what was it that truly confused me? Okay, that's really what I want you to think of. What was it that truly confused me? The time is up. Go ahead and put your answers in. But I want you to think about that to yourself before we get started here, because this is going to be the difference maker for you in terms of being able to dominate and handle the easy questions as well as those slightly more complicated ones. And remember, guys, complexity is really just a result of adding one too many simple steps to a question. So it's just a one too many simple steps. That's what makes something complex. So let's get it done here. No worries. I got you. I got you guys. Okay. I'm glad that you're being honest about this. So let's go ahead. Let's dive on in here. First things first, we need to go ahead and read the question and understand what it is that we're trying to find. So just like the previous ones, we start right here. The who, what, when, where, how many, which of the following. It says, how many yellow crayons are there in the container? And then it says, if there are 160 total. But let's read that very carefully because I guarantee you about half of you who are confused are about to go from, Coach, I hate math. I don't know what to do, to, wow. Welcome to math therapy. I'm going to call that out right now. So first things first, as we have always been doing, we want to write down how many yellow crayons. So I'll go ahead and say blank yellow right over there. And then everybody, can you tell me what it is that they gave us in the same exact sentence as the yellow that we're looking for? What information were we given? Help me out again. It says what? If there are what? How many yellow crayons are in the container if there are what? 160, but this is why a lot of you guys are getting this question wrong. 160 what? Again, guys, it's not about the numbers. It's about the ideas that we're comparing. In this sentence, we are comparing yellow to 160 what? Exactly, total. Not green, not red, not blue, not magenta, not mahogany, not indigo. It is the total. So make sure that you are representing things accurately because it's going to give you a way to do the math simply. 160 total is what the yellow is compared to. I'm going to re-emphasize this here. Total is what we're given. Everybody, just before we continue, remember in the beginning of this class, we ended up doing a ratio question that involved us finding the total. Now, what did we do to find that total even though it wasn't given to us? What did we do to find that total again? Help me out. What was it that we did? Evelyn says add, Trevor says add, Fiona says add, Chris Langston says add. Gosh darn it, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're supposed to add to get a total because a total is taking a full account, finding all of them together. So don't fear, don't get angry, don't get confused, don't get sad, because there is a very easy way to go from our confusion to getting the right answer. Pay attention here. First up, we are going to write down the information that we're given. We see that we're given a ratio in the first sentence, and it says the ratio of red crayons to yellow crayons. I need to make sure that you understand that that's very dangerous of us if we simply went ahead and wrote down, oh, red to yellow, we have 25 to 55. Okay, so that means we're going to write 25 red and 55 yellow. First things first, there are everything wrong with the way that we just did that. Because one, notice how we wrote yellow first and we wrote red here first. Already, that's not correct. We need to go ahead and move some things around. But even after we do that, let's go ahead and suppose that we move things around. Well, guess what, my party people? Sure, now they both start with yellow, but we still have something wrong. We see that we have yellow to total here, but then it says yellow to red here. Again, if you try to set up a proportion, you try to throw some spaghetti at the wall and hope it sticks. Yeah, sure, something's going to stick. Yeah, sure, you might see a number in this answer sheet here, but it's not going to be the correct one, I promise you. The reason is because you're not comparing the same things in the same way. Again, right above me, we have yellow to total. This is yellow to red. Not going to work. Yes or no, does that make sense? Do you understand why that's incorrect? Exactly. And to follow up on that exactly, to get the total, we're just going to add it up. So if over here in purple, we say that we have 55 yellow, and then we have ourselves 25 red, well, my party people, if we need to get the total, that's going to be pretty straightforward. Just add them up. 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 plus 2 is 7. Carry that 1. That's going to be 8. And we have 80 total. And so don't be afraid to erase your work. Here, we're going to erase that. We know we have to erase that because like we always said, it's yellow to total. So we need to compare yellow to total. Is that starting to make a little more sense to those who were a little bit confused earlier? Comparing the same things in the same way, that is truly what that looks like. Good. And I'm looking for better than before. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm just looking for better than before. If that's true for you, then we're having a good time. Don't worry. So we are going to put 80 total here. Again, to make sure that we are comparing the same things in the same way. Does anybody here notice that we have a very convenient numerical situation here? Does anybody agree that we have a very convenient numerical situation? And if so, can you tell me what it is? Yeah, guys, look, we could definitely compare the same things in the same way with a proportion. We can definitely do, let's say y right there. Y for yellow over 160 equals 55 yellow over 80. We can write that down and we can do our work no problem. But one thing you might want to notice is that, hey, look, right over, I'll use blue, right over here, 80 to 160, that's a times 2 relationship. So if I want to go from 55 to the answer, well, hey, I can do the same thing times 2. So instead of doing all that work with 160 times 55, which would end up being, God knows what is that going to be? 800 plus 80? Not even. It's 8,000 plus 800, which would be 8,800, I believe. I don't know. right? And then you do all that work and then divide by 80. Why? When you see that we can multiply by 2 going from right to left. Sweet. My party people, what's 55 times 2? Evelyn, it was 8,800? Right on. So, yeah, 55 times 2, that'll just be 110. And we're done. We multiply by 2, and that gives us y equals 110. Again, you can feel free to cross multiply and divide. You would still get 110. The correct answer is C. However, if you did it the other way, my party people, if you did it the other way, what you may have run into was you may have gotten yourself into a situation where you may have gotten the answer choice. I believe it was. Oh, it would have been dependent on making it the entire thing flipped, but you may have gotten something a little lower. I believe it would have been 50. I believe it may have been 50 or 81, one of those two. But either way, everybody, are we good? Do we see what we need to do when a total is presented in the proportion? Do we see what we need to do? Right on. There you go. I love seeing that confidence go up. So, as always, are you ready for a slightly different, slightly harder question? Every single question here that we've been doing has been unique to the previous one. So I'm really enjoying seeing you guys work from, again, the essentials to the fundamentals to these advanced questions. You can absolutely do it. So here we go, my party people. Here's the next one. The timer has started, and let's get it done. All right, faces out of the way. Your timer is going. And again, just type ready when you're ready in the chat box. Two, one, and time. Put those answers in. Again, put a question mark next to your answer if it is a guess. No problem at all. Again, no shame in that, guys. No shame at all. So let's bring my face back into the picture here. So my party people, was this question here a little more manageable, given that we had the chance to try out the previous question? Was this feeling a little more manageable for you? Okay. So that's a couple people there. Anybody here feeling the same, like it's still just as hard? Again, be honest about this. I really want to think or want to know that we're understanding what's going on here? I got y'all. You feel like the setup was the same? Okay, yeah, let's try it out. So before we get started, everybody, so for those of you who have the awesome privilege of being in my program, and I want to thank you guys for being my students. I just want to remind everybody who is in the program that after this class, what you can do to continue getting practice on this is by trying out the unit checkpoint for proportions. So if you just simply go ahead and look behind me, you're going to go ahead and see the right over here. And then let me go ahead and move all this over. Give me 2 seconds here. And I'll go ahead and place this right behind me. Perfect. So for those of you here in class, you can go ahead and see right behind me, and you'll see right behind me, you have a test that's already opened up. This is your unit checkpoint, and I'm going to just go right over here to show you exactly what it is that we're dealing with. Again, this is your Unit 2 proportions checkpoint, and I just want to show you all the different types of questions that you're going to see in here. You'll get the chance to practice all these different types of questions, just like we're doing in today's class. And once you're done, the great thing is you'll be able to go through the majority of these questions and see step-by-step solutions. So you can hit your feedback report and you'll be able to see, like right over here, hey, this is exactly how we would take care of this question, going through step-by-step how to get these answers. So I want to make sure that you understand what this means in terms of your practice, because every time you reset this practice test, you're going to have a brand new set of questions, but it's just the same. Every single question that you answer is going to have a step-by-step solution going through what do you want, what do you have, what's the connection, so you can really get that practice and raise your confidence. And again, that's all part of the program, along with every other feature that's available with it. So if you want to learn more about the program, I have a coupon code for you to use for tonight's class. It is Monday, MONDAY, the weekday Monday. And all you have to do is text us at 833-321-0182 and ask about our full program. Again, that is our line that we are answering 24/7. So start the conversation there. That way, when class ends, you can still take advantage of the code Monday that expires tonight at midnight. So let's go ahead and get back to the math fun part of people. Here we go. So the question here says, we are trying to find how many total crayons if we have 72 yellow. As always, everybody, when it comes to proportions, we do want to make sure that when we're trying to find whatever it is we're looking for, we're setting the proportion up based off of the question sentence. Here's what I mean. We're looking for how many total, blank total, and we then see that it says if we have 72 yellow. Okay, no big deal, sounds good. But what I'm telling you is that we are going to be basing our proportion off of this. So we're going to try to set up total to yellow. Total to yellow. Everybody, yes or no, does that make sense? You want to base your proportion off of the information in the question sentence. It gives you a much easier time. So instead of you trying to make a proportion comparing purple to yellow, no. Go with the question sentence. It's total to yellow. Base it off of that. Base it off of that. Excellent. So just like we just got done saying, we are looking for the number of total, and we have 72 yellow. The next thing that we're going to do now is take the information that we have, similarly to how we did in previous questions, and we see that we are comparing here, let's use red, we're comparing the ratio between purple and yellow. Remember that the order matters. So this right here is purple to yellow. And so what we have is, again, 12 purple, 36 yellow, which if you notice, since we have yellow, hey, let's line it up with the yellow. So we're going to line that up and we're going to say 36 yellow. We know that that's going to be in the right spot. But what would the total be that we're looking for, everybody? What would the total be? Exactly. We have to add those up, and that's going to give us 48. So I see that some of us that were confused earlier are definitely on our toes now. I really like seeing that. But again, stay sharp, stay on your toes, because we need to, again, compare the same things in the same way. And that's why that 48 comes about, because we are looking for comparing totals. So here, that's 48 total. Now we're set. And just like one of the previous questions that we did, we actually have a very convenient situation. We have 36 to 72, that's times 2. So the answer is going to be 48 times 2. That's one way to see it. Again, if you just have a sharp eye and you notice these convenient ratios, these convenient factors, man, do your thing. But regardless, we would set up the proportion as total over 72 yellow, 48 total over 36 yellow, comparing the same things in the same way. And from there, we can cross multiply and divide. And again, if you're the kind of person who likes to torture themselves by doing 72 times 48, I'm not going to stop you. I'm simply going to say, work smarter, not harder. So again, we can multiply by 2, and that'll be the same thing up here. As long as you validate it, you're good. 36 times 2 is 72. 48 times 2 is what? 96. And so T would equal 96. Exactly, Yakeem. That's another way of thinking about it in terms of the logic behind the question, behind the situation itself. Because if we're looking for the number of total, well, there's no way in heck that your total is going to be less than the number of yellow markers you have. We have, or crayons, excuse me, we have 72 yellow given to us. So the total has to be at least 72. So there's no way it could be 60. There's no way it could be 36. There's no way it could be 24. You can eliminate those answers instantaneously. And you can tell that if we're looking for the total when we have 30 or 72, it's going to have to be a number bigger than 72. Yeah. You did 36 over 48 instead of 48 over 36. Again, a common mistake that happens, but I want you to address, Nicole, I want you to address why that happened. That way, next time, it can happen less frequently, for sure. So let's take a consensus. Let's take a nice little inventory here. Who's feeling like they grew from this one? Who feels like they grew from this question? And Delilah, yep, I noticed the error in the beginning of class. I'm going to be fixing that right here. It's going to be up by noon tomorrow, the update. You're good. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys are growing, man. It feels good to be able to go from, hey, I'm still at step one to at the end of the class being 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of the game. I really want that to happen. So with that, we're going to take a look at this one now. Okay, cool. This is probably one of the hardest types that you will see. So let's see how you handle it. I'm going to give you an extra 30 seconds to handle this one. I'm going to give you an entire 3 minutes because, again, it's assumed that with the harder questions, you would have given yourself a chance to do the easier ones in quicker time. That way you have more time for questions like these. So a full 3 minutes has just started. Good luck, my math party people, and I'll see you in a few minutes. And we're looking at our final 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead, plug those answers in. Let's see what we have, guys. Let's see what we're working with. As always, remember that you want to just try your best. We're going to be going over how to get a problem like this done, but I need you to keep an open mind. And what an open mind means is that you don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. So let's go ahead and, cut to the chase in terms of, hey, look, this tripped me up, but it's not impossible. A lot of us seem to conflate difficulty with impossibility, but that's hardly the case. Remember, you guys are very, very able and capable of learning. So, again, keeping that open mind of where did I go wrong and what can I do, that's ultimately going to serve us very well in the future. So, starting off as always, what's the question? What do we want? And it's going to clearly say right above me how many orange balls are in the container. So, let's go ahead and mark that down right there. How many orange balls are in the container? Everybody, can we confirm again? Which color ball are we looking for? Just type it into the chat box for me so I can make sure that I got that right. Yeah, exactly. We're looking for the orange ball. How many orange balls are in the container? So blank orange sounds good. All right. And notice how different from the other questions, we weren't given something in the same sentence. We weren't, told if this. We weren't really given that. So we're going to have to, extrapolate a little bit more information in a little bit of a better way. But regardless, we got what we want. We want to know the number of orange balls in the container. Cool. Sounds good. Next thing is we're going to write down the information step by step. So let's see what we have. So right up here, it says, hey, there are 3 types of balls in the container. We have green, orange, and yellow. Okay, cool. Green, orange, and yellow. And the container has a total of 200 balls. Okay, everybody, quick question. They said, yeah, green, orange, yellow, sure, whatever. But everybody, read with me. In the question right above me, it says, how many balls are in the where? Can you tell me that again? How many balls are in the what? Container. Okay, cool. Okay. Now, question, let's go ahead and go right over here. The container has a total of 200 balls. My party people, can we compare those? Can we compare the number of orange balls that we're looking for in the container to the total balls in the container? Can we make that comparison? Can we make that comparison? Yes, we can. The reason that we can make that comparison and not this comparison over here to 2, 3, and 5 is because guess what, everybody? When we're talking about this 2, 3, and 5 right over here, that's the ratio of green, orange, and yellow. But again, ratio. Ratio is the comparison between the parts. The number of balls in the container is a physical amount. So those are 2 different ideas. They're still going to be compared the same way for sure, but those are 2 different ideas. The ratio is that one comparison, and the actual number of balls in the container is the other comparison. And so that's how I know I can compare blank orange to 200 total. Yes or no, my party people, does that make any sort of sense at all? You tell me. Does that make any sort of sense at all? Because we're looking for the number of orange in the container, and we have 200 in the container, that comparison can be made. And then up next, or actually, let me quiz you here. Let's see if you were really listening to me in the previous questions. So once we got here, okay, let's go ahead. Even if we don't understand, just bear with me for a moment. Let's say we're here now. We have blank orange compared to 200 total. What did I say about your proportion setup? Your setup to actually finish the question. What did I say you should base your proportion off of? What did I say you should base the proportion off of? And I said it in passing. Exactly. We should, in this specific instance, we should compare it to orange over total because generally what I said was you should base your proportion off of the question. So here we're looking for the number of orange and we were able to deduce that we have 200 total. So what we want to do is compare orange to total. If we can do there and keep it just within that, we're good. because we'll get orange eventually and we'll get that final answer. So let's go ahead here and write down the next piece that we're really going to need. The ratio of green balls to orange balls to yellow balls is 2 to 3 to 5. Everyone, what that means is this. If I write that in green, we see that we're going to have, again, the order matters, green to orange to yellow. It's going to be 2 to 3 to 5. Everyone, which one of these values are we going to be using to place in this comparison that I have right above me? Which one of these should we take? Yeah, we're definitely going to take the 3 because, again, that represents the orange. I definitely want to grab that. 3 orange. And everybody, can you talk to me? What's the other one that I'm going to need? What's the other part that I'm going to want? What's the other piece? The total, exactly. You guys are really, I'm loving this. I'm really excited for a lot of y'all in terms of what's going to happen beyond this class because it's very, very clear that it looks like you guys, some of you guys were just waiting for the right type of coaching. So I'm really proud of you guys for sticking through this. This is going to work very well for you. So here we are. We said that we have orange here, total here. So we're going to need orange here, total here. So if we look over here, we have 2, 3, and 5. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus the other 5 is 10. So our total is going to be 10 right over here. So we'll take that and we have 10 total. And let's get to work now. The hardest part about this one was not the calculation, it was the setup. Because now that we have the setup, we can, use an X if we'd like to right over here. No worries. I don't care. But if you look at the comparison, hey, from 10 to 200, you can actually make a quick comparison mentally. 10 to 200, that's times 20. 3 times 20, everybody, what is that? 3 times 20 is going to give us 60. But we can still do cross multiplication and division if we'd like to. We can do x over 200 equals 3 over 10. Because when we cross multiply and divide, we'll have ourselves right over here. We'll have 10x equals 2,000. And then if we go ahead and, that's going to be 600. Excuse me there. Right over there. Boom. It's getting late. That's how you know. So we have 10x equals 600. And then from there, when we divide both sides by 10, boom, we're in the clear. Divide both sides by 10, x equals 60. So 2 ways that we can get that fairly quickly and with a fair bit of confidence. So I got to ask again, for those of you that looked at this question and you said, holy crap, I don't want to do this. I would much rather go home or go to bed, go to sleep and pretend I never saw that. How are you feeling now after sticking it out and watching me go through it? How are you feeling now? You keen, feeling better, feeling pretty good, feeling more better, if that's grammatically correct, I'll take it. But yeah, cool. I am the GOAT. No, Tom Brady is, as a Peyton Manning fan. But there we have it. So let's go ahead and let me see which one's next. Cool. So I want to go ahead and take you guys through the next one. We're still not there at the top. Yeah, we're definitely going to get more practice. I got y'all. Are you guys ready to get more practice? This has been one of the smoothest classes I think I've ever taught, outside of the little hiccup with the YouTube link, which I do appreciate you guys sticking through. This has been a very fun class for me. I hope it has been for you too. So here we go. Next one. Let's keep going here. Boom. The timer is starting now, and I'm going to make my face disappear and the timer appear in a moment. Boom. As always, type ready when you're ready. Do not reveal your answers. Do not reveal those answers. All right, looking at our final 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's time. Go ahead, plug those answers in, put a question mark next to your guess. Again, if you have a guess, and there's no shame in that, as always. No shame at all in that. We simply want to improve. So here we go, my party people. Let's bring my ugly face back into the frame. Here we go. How did you guys feel about this one? Do you guys feel like this one was difficult, medium, easy? How are you feeling so far about this one? Feeling like it was easy? Now, I'm pretty sure if I would have given you guys this question at the beginning of class, safe to say about half of you probably would have walked out. Safe to say some of you guys would have probably complained, probably going to, try to take my teaching certification license away from me because apparently this is too difficult. But look at that. You stayed, you worked on it, and just like all things, you can get better at it. So here we go. What are we looking for? We're looking for the number of blue marbles in the container. So here we go. Air Force on the way. So boom, we're looking for how many blue marbles are in the container. Sweet. Blank blue marbles. And then just like the previous question, we see that there are 3 types of marbles in the container. We have purple, blue, and red. Okay, nothing crazy about that yet. Then it says the container contains a total of 200 marbles. Okay, container has 200 marbles. We're looking for the number of blue marbles in the container. So just like that previous one, we'll attach that to it. Because again, this is in the container. In the container, we have blue that we're looking for along with 200 total. So knowing that, up next, we're going to take a look at the information we have, and we see that it says, hey, the ratio of purple to blue to red is 1 to 4 to 5. Let's make sure we highlight that so we can really extract that information the correct way. So the ratio of, again, purple to blue to red is 1 to 4 to 5. If I write that down, let me just go ahead and grab brown there. I'll say, purple, that ratio is 1. For blue, that number is 4. And let's write that better. And then our red is going to be 5. So once we have that going on, my party people, okay, cool. Which of these numbers are we going to grab first? Which of these are we going to grab first? Yep, that's going to be 4. It's going to be 4 blue. And then if we add all of these up, we are going to get a total of 10 right over there. So just like in the previous question, it's coincidentally the same exact conundrum here, or the same exact comparison, where we can say, yeah, we had 10 total, but that's 10 to 200, that's times 20. And so from 4 to the answer, that's times 20. If we're comparing the same things in the same way, again, total from the second to total in the first, blue from the second, blue from the first. Yeah, it's going to be the same expectation times 10, or times 20, excuse me. 4 times 20, that's going to be 80. And so our answer is very quickly D. Was anybody here able to get that done in their head without even having to write anything on paper? Look at that. Look at that. Again, that's the power that you get, that you really have the privilege of having when you focus on learning the concept at its core. Think about it, everybody. For those of you that are feeling pretty good or even better than you did before, think about this versus how most people might study, which is just going problem after problem after problem, not caring why they got it right or wrong, just worried about if they got it right or wrong. And then beyond that, they may try to memorize questions and hope for the best. Think about how someone that practices that way might feel versus someone who takes the time to actually learn the main ideas, like comparing the same things in the same way, simplifying fractions, understanding the principles that lead to success. Do you guys believe that more of this could work for you if we did other topics like distance, rate, time, systems of equations that we have tomorrow? Do you feel like this might work better for you? Very straightforward question. So think on that. So it's 7:47 here. So I would love to try to do one more question. Are you guys down to do one more? Because after that, for those of you that have been telling me that you're interested in the program, I'm going to show you how to sign up and get started. That way you can access all the materials, start raising your score right away, and ultimately have a good time. Cool. So let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and find a better question for y'all. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. All right, here we go. Go ahead. Here is this one. I'm actually going to shorten the time to 2 minutes, not 2.5 minutes. Let's see how much better you're feeling. Go ahead. Timer started, and the time is on. Face is gone, and there it is. Go for it. Oh, yeah. If you worked in it a different way, but you still got the right answer, chances are you still did it a correct way. There's always more than one way to get a question correct. So that's awesome to see that you were still able to do it the right way confidently with another method. Just make sure you know why it's correct. And number two, for those of you who are looking for more help in terms of my full program, just stay till the end of class. I'll go ahead and briefly go over how it works, how very affordable it is, along with a coupon code to make it even better for you. Looking at our final five, four, three, two, and one. That's time. Go ahead, my math party people. Go ahead and put those answers in. Put a question mark next to your answer if it is a guess. And let's appreciate the fact that we have made it through a class where we have done every single difficulty that we can expect for ratios and proportions. Again, starting off from just finding out simple ratios and simplifying fractions. From there, looking at actually setting up and solving proportions. Then understanding that there are different types in terms of part to part proportions and part to total. Then from there, we talked about triple ratios, which we handled very, very well. And now we're looking at a random question here to see how far we've come and our ability to handle a random concept or a random type of proportion. So here we go. And yeah, you can absolutely have decimals, Akeem. Yakeem, very simply put, you can have decimals in anything. So just know that if you're going to be putting decimals in proportions, that doesn't add any difficulty at all unless you have not been practicing how to deal with decimals. If you've been putting that off, then if we did that and that screws you, your problem isn't proportions. Your problem is lack of practice of your fundamentals. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it here. Our question reads, how many females are there if there are 22 males present? So let's go ahead and write this down right over here. We are looking for the number of females here, and there are 22 males present. So if we go ahead and look at the information that we're given, what we need to know is that we're trying to set up females to males. As long as we keep that in our heads, we're going to have ourselves an easy time. So I see right over here in purple that we see that it says, hey, we have 10 males for every 45 females. So be careful here. Notice how we wrote males then females, but over here it's females then males. Keep that in mind. So when we keep that in mind, females would be first, and then 10 males. So my party people understand that if we're looking at this, well, we don't exactly have a very easy way to go about it in terms of the numbers. So you may find yourself in a situation thinking, yeah, I'm going to have to cross multiply and divide, right? Well, let's see what happens here. So if I set this up, I have F females over 22 males right there. Then compare over there, 45 females over 10 males. So my party people, instead of trying to do 45 times 22, which is very tempting to do, let's go ahead and give ourselves a better chance of success by first seeing if we can simplify. So everybody, if we take a look at 45 and 10, what are 45 and 10 both divisible by? Absolutely, both divisible by 5. You guys are awesome. You're on your toes. I love seeing that. So we can definitely do that straight away. Let's zoom on in and let's do that straight away. Divide by 5, divide by 5. And that's going to get us right over here. The same f over 22. But then we have 45 over 10, which is going to be 9 over 2 after we divide by 5. Awesome. Now, everybody, now that we're looking at this, does any sort of convenience open up now? Does any convenience open up to you now? Yeah, absolutely. I'm taking a look at this, and you might be thinking, well, now I can do 22 times 9 pretty easy now, right? Sure, you could. You could absolutely cross multiply and divide. But what I want to show you is that now you've opened up a nice can of worms. 2 to 22, everybody, that's times what? 2 to 22 is times 11. Absolutely. 9 to the answer will also be times 11 then. And so 9 times 11, that's going to be 99. And we're all done. F, the number of females, is 99, and we're good. Does anybody here feel like they are so much faster than they were before on this? I love seeing that, man. I love seeing that. My party people, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you get it done. Not on my side and the teaching side, but for you being a student, as hard as something might feel in the beginning, if your instructor tells you that it's possible, then it's going to be in your best interest to stick through the uncomfortable moments of not knowing what you're doing. Because by practicing and working on your fundamentals, eventually you'll continue building up that consistency and confidence to be able to handle the pressure of the real test, which is, I think, the highest pressure of all when it comes to your academic studies at this time. So, as always, my party people, you guys have been a blessing in my life, man. I love you guys. Helping you guys succeed helps me get up in the morning, and I want to make sure that that continues. So, question for those of you in the program: have you had the chance to begin working on the online courses that you have access to 24/7? Yes or no? For those of you in the program, have you started on your math basics, arithmetic reasoning, math knowledge? Have you started on those courses that are available 24/7? Word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, general science, all that's in there. No? Well, here's the thing. Finish those. Exactly, Fiona. Thank you for that. If you are in the program, make sure to read your emails and check your text messages that I send out to you daily. I sent you an activation code if you did not get the chance to finish making your account before you paid. But if you did pay with an account, log into your account. Read that welcome email. Read the welcome checklist. It's all there lined up literally from start to finish. So there are no excuses. You don't have to wait for every single class to get your fix of math or English or science. It's all online. It's all set up for you. These classes are probably 5% of how awesome the program actually is. So with that said, again, if you are in the program for the time being, make sure you get in there, watch that welcome letter, and make sure that you're starting the right way. Math basics, arithmetic reasoning and math knowledge, and then practice tests for math. There are different study guides and paths for English, and that's going to be shown to you on that welcome page. With that said, for those of you who are not in the program, well, did you guys like the way the class went today? Do you feel like more of this could work for you? That's my next question. Right on. Hey, Xavier, go ahead and hold tight there. You may want to remove that. But for those of you who, I love seeing that, guys. For those of you who are interested in the full program, I just want you to stay for literally 3 to 5 more minutes so I can tell you exactly how the program is supposed to be used so you can be as efficient with it as possible to get that score that you want. For those of you who are already in the program, I will see you in tomorrow's class at the same time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And tomorrow is a private class. It won't be streamed on YouTube, but you will have access to the recording. And we are going to be going over one of the hardest topics, systems of equations. Tomorrow is a math knowledge topic. We are not going to be going over the word problem aspect. We're going to be hyper-focusing on the solutions, solving these systems, because we're going to be going over the word problem aspect in another class. So For those of you who are in the program, again, you can see yourself out. I will see you then. If you would like to leave a couple of words for anybody here who's considering the program, I would very much so appreciate it. So for those of you who are interested in the program, I first want to make sure that what I say here resonates with you, because if it does, then yes, this program is absolutely guaranteed to work for you. But again, we got to be honest about these questions. So everybody, please answer this question in the chat box. First and foremost, do you feel like test anxiety affects you in terms of your ability to do your best? Do you feel like just the idea of having the test date coming closer and closer just makes you nervous and you perform worse? And thanks, Peony, I appreciate that. Now, beyond that, do you feel like you blank out on word problems? Do you feel like when you're doing word problems, you have to read things more times than necessary, you feel? Number 3, do you hate guessing and hoping for the best? Do you find yourself in situations where you're constantly running out of time on practice tests and you are forced to guess and hope for the best? And then lastly, do you feel like it's kind of up to you to figure out how to study and how to know when you're ready to go take the test? If these are frustrations that you've had throughout your ASVAB studies, then yes, we do solve these issues, and it takes practice and consistency, but it will get done. It's all lined up for you. All you have to do is sit down and get to work. So if you enjoyed this session today and you feel like it improved your chances of passing, if you feel like more of this could work for you and you really feel like, someone had your back all the way until you passed, this is it. This is the most affordable program that gives you the most support that you could ever want. It's almost like having your own personal teacher that you can refer to anytime. So with that said, again, this is not going to be luck. It's going to be a process. Trust the process and you're going to succeed. Just like these students who were here from the very beginning when I started this 4.5 years ago to every single student who's passed today. And for those of you asking, we had over 1,500 students pass and get the scores that they wanted in the past 4 years. It's been amazing to see, and that number is continuously going up every single day. So with that said, here's how it works. Basically, you're going to have access to all the classes and recordings. But remember, that is not everything that the program is about. You're going to get courses for the arithmetic reasoning, math knowledge, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and general science, and you're going to have over 15,000 practice questions to work with. And guess what? You're going to have step-by-step solutions to all the math questions, and you're going to have all of these guided practice videos, lessons, practice sheets, worksheets, everything you need to continue building that confidence. Then you're going to have practice tests to go through. That way it's all lined up for you, accessible 24/7. You go through your courses, your practice tests, and you continue practicing until the day you're ready. It's that simple. And if you didn't like that already, well, guess what? On a weekly basis, we are sending out progress reports. That way you can see exactly where you are, making sure that you're not skipping anything, so you're not at risk of scoring lower off of something very minor. So there it is, my party people. It's very straightforward. The program works in a very simple and easy to follow way, and you have assistants to help you out if you have any questions, and you can use the code Monday to save even more on a program that's already the most affordable in the nation. We service the entire United States, and we have plenty of international students, and you're going to see the price, and I think you're going to like it. And by using the code Monday, all caps, you can get $8 off of the subscription or $50 off of the year or the lifetime plans. So there it is right there. You can follow these steps, go to the link, sign up and raise your score, and pick a plan. And I can also go ahead and put this over here, my party people. Let me go ahead and put this here. Here's the full program link that I want to give you. Boom. There's your full link. So Xavion, that's the link you want to click. That way you can save that and then come back to it later when you're ready. But the code Monday will expire tonight at midnight Pacific time or 3 a.m. Eastern. But it's very simple, guys. You sign up, you show up, and you ace the ASVAB. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. But if you're not willing to put in the work, if you're not willing to make the time, it's not magic. But I do make it as easy as possible to sit down and get to work. So there it is, my party people. I put that link there in the chat box. Also for you guys on my YouTube, here you go. And before you leave, while you consider this, make sure to like this on YouTube. Please do. But coming back to this, if you have any questions at all, feel free to let me know in the chat box. Because the thing is, there's nothing more important to me than your experience. And that means making sure that we are constantly improving and making this just the best thing that you could ever have hoped to have in this situation. Yeah, let me answer your question, Chrislane. Go ahead, ask your question there. Let me see if I missed it. Should I go through everything at the same time or finish the boot camp one at a time? So, Chrislane, basically, if you want to split your days up between math, English, and science, that'd be recommended. But when you're studying math, here's your recommendation: math basics first, then arithmetic, reasoning, and math knowledge courses, then practice tests. Very straightforward. Basics, courses, practice tests. When it comes to English, study guides, courses, practice tests. Very straightforward. As long as you work in that order, you're not going to be in a position where you're going to be super confused about anything, because everything is right there working based off of the last thing you learned. So, Chrislane, let me know if that makes sense. And cool. So for the 5 of you who already signed up, great job there. Again, make sure that you are reading that welcome email and also going through your welcome checklist. There's a video that takes you everywhere from start to finish on how the program works. And we're actually going to be updating that video with our most up-to-date contact information. So I want to make sure I put all of this here for you to see. So if you want to reach my assistant 24/7, you can go ahead and text the number 833-321-0182. You can definitely text us anytime, any day, and we'll go ahead and reply pretty quickly about any information you need. Or if you need to reach me directly, you can go ahead and email me at support@duranlearning.com. So right over here, support@duranlearning. But I would wholeheartedly recommend that you sign up this evening. That way you can go ahead and access tomorrow's class and continue learning with the whole crew here, making sure that you're guaranteeing you're raising your score. So let me go ahead and put this right down here. And so for the person who just asked, so E, if you are currently enrolled in the program, no, you don't need to sign up again. If you're in the subscription, it renews every month. But if you want to cancel before then, super easy. Just log in, hit cancel, and it won't renew. That's it. Yep, very straightforward. Nothing crazy. And Xavion, sounds good. So that number, 833-321-0182, that's my assistant that's going to be responding. So you can say, like, hey, it's in the class. I want to know more information about the program. Sure. Just make sure to save that coupon code Monday, all caps. It'll expire at midnight. But again, I can guarantee you that it'll be worth it. If you're willing to put in the time, then this absolutely will work for you. Sweet. Yeah, I already saw that. Yeah, good. What is that? 8, then 9, and 10, and 11, 12. So yeah, the 12 of you guys that already signed up, again, just make sure to read that welcome email. That I cannot stress that enough. And I got to make more and more videos reminding you guys to make sure that you're sticking into those online courses, because again, that's really where the meat and bones are. You know, these classes are great, but imagine working just like we did today, step by step, all the way from start to finish. And if you need to skip a few things because you already got it down, sure, there's no problem with that. You get to start from where you're comfortable and keep building progress from there. E, it's been a pleasure having you as well. Look, you know, I can't be a good teacher without having good students. You guys have been an excellent group of students to work with, and I'm really looking forward to working with more students like you. It's that simple. You guys have been awesome. You know, this class is awesome because you all have been awesome. And Reza, good to have you here too. Thank you for coming. So with that said, party people, hey, Jay, I appreciate you coming too, as always. So again, guys, if you're interested in the program, all you got to do is go to that link that I put here in the chat box as well. Then click sign up and raise your score and pick a plan. That's simple. That's straightforward, my party people. Sign up and start acing the ASVAB, and I'll see you in tomorrow's class. If you need to reach us at all, again, you can go ahead and text us at 833-321-0182. And you can always look forward to seeing more videos of ours on YouTube as well. But with that said, the program is the #1 way to go. Everything's organized for you from start to finish. That way you can raise your score without all the pressure. As always, guys, you guys have been a pleasure to work with. My name is Coach Anderson, and I hope to see you soon. Hope to see you in the next class, and let's ace the ASVAB. I love you guys. I'll see you in tomorrow's class, and then Wednesday with Coach Sheena. And from there, we will continue on towards the end of August. Cheers, guys. I love y'all.